What does it mean to be a father? Is it just providing a roof and food? Is it showing up to a few games and calling it good? Or is it something deeper, something that requires you to give parts of yourself you didn't even know existed? I had 9 children, 4 different mothers. I traveled the world. I trained for months at a time. And when I look back now, I see the price they paid for my dreams. But I also learned that being a father isn't about being perfect. It's about being present. It's about being honest, and it's about breaking cycles that have been running through families for generations. If you're ready to hear that truth, stay with me. Listen, I'm not here to give you some perfect formula for fatherhood, because I don't have one. What I have is truth. Hard-earned truth that came from mistakes, pain, separation, and regret. But also from love, from trying, from showing up, even when I failed. You're watching this because something inside you knows there's more to being a father than what you're doing right now. Maybe you grew up without a father yourself. Maybe your father was there but not really there, physically present but emotionally gone. Maybe you're repeating patterns you swore you'd never repeat. Maybe you're working too much, distracted too much, angry too much, or just absent too much. Here's what this conversation is really about. You'll understand that your past doesn't have to determine your future as a father. I was raised in a time and place that didn't teach men how to be emotionally present. But I learned. Slowly, painfully, but I learned. You'll learn how to be present, even when you can't be physically there. My career took me away from my children for weeks, sometimes months, but I found ways to stay connected, to make them feel they mattered more than any title or crowd. And you'll discover how to break the cycle of absence and create a new legacy, not by being perfect, but by being honest, by admitting when you're wrong, by showing up, by recording their voices, by walking them to school, by telling them the truth about who you are and why you love them. I understand the pain you're feeling. You feel like you're failing. Like no matter what you do, it's not enough. You're providing, but they need more than provision. You're exhausted from work, from pressure, from trying to be everything to everyone. You look at your children and wonder if they'll remember you as the father you want to be or the father you're afraid you're becoming. You're scared that the damage is already done, that you've missed too much, that they'll grow up and resent you the way you might resent your own father. But here's what I learned. Children don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be present. They need you to see them, to hear them, to make them feel like when you're with them, there's nowhere else in the world you'd rather be. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a parenting expert. I'm a man who won in the ring and struggled at home. A man who stood up to the government but couldn't always stand up to the demands of being everywhere at once. A man whose daughter called him by his public name instead of daddy because she didn't feel like she had a daddy, she had Muhammad Ali. I understand what it's like to love your children and still get it wrong. To want to be there and feel torn between duty, dreams, and family. To look back and wish you could have just 5 more minutes with them when they were small. By the end of this conversation, you'll have the tools to become the father you needed when you were young. Not by erasing the past, but by building a new future. One conversation at a time. One moment of presence at a time. One act of love at a time. Because the greatest victory you'll ever achieve isn't in any arena, it's in the hearts of your children, and that fight starts now. Let me tell you a story. With all the trophies I won, all the belts, all the honors from presidents and kings, you know what I protected most? Little cassette tapes. Hundreds of them. In a safe, I would wake up early, before my children knew I was there, and I'd record them. Getting ready for school. Eating breakfast. Playing in my office. Fighting over toys. Laughing. Crying. Just being children. I'd sit there with a small tape recorder hidden, capturing every word, every sound, every moment. because I knew even then that I was losing something I could never get back. Time, presence, the ordinary magic of just being their daddy. When I traveled, I'd listen to those tapes in hotel rooms across the world, in Manila, in Zaire, in London, and I'd cry because I missed them, because no crowd could fill the hole that missing their childhood created. Those tapes are still locked in that safe. Sometimes I play them. I hear their little voices calling me daddy, asking me questions, telling me about their day. And I'm grateful I captured those moments, but I also know I should have been capturing them with my presence, not just with a machine. If you're a father who's chasing something outside your home, thinking you'll make up for lost time later, let me tell you, later doesn't exist. Time with your children doesn't wait. Record them. Yes, but be there. Be in the moment. Let them record you in their hearts, not just on tape. I remember being on the road, away from my family for months while I trained for fights. I'd call home and my children would tell me about their day, about school, about their friends, and I'd listen, but part of me was thinking about the next training session, the next opponent, the next press conference. I was there on the phone, but I wasn't really there. One time, I came home after being gone for 6 weeks. My youngest ran up to me excited, wanting to show me a picture she drew, and I was tired. I glanced at it for 2 seconds and said, "That's nice, baby," and kept walking to my room. I saw her face fall. I saw the light go out in her eyes, and it cut me. Because I realized in that moment, she'd been waiting weeks to show me that picture. She'd probably practiced what she was going to say, and I couldn't even give her 2 minutes of my full attention. I went back. I sat down with her. I asked her to tell me about every part of that drawing. Who was in it? What colors she chose and why? What story it was telling? And her face lit back up. That's when I understood. Presence isn't about the amount of time. It's about the quality of attention. It's about making them feel like they're the most important thing in your world in that moment. Because to them, you are their whole world. Now, let me tell you another story, and this one's harder to share. My daughter Hannah was 5 years old. Beautiful little girl with big eyes and a tender heart. I had to leave for training camp. Another fight, another obligation, another moment away from the people who needed me most. She started crying, holding onto my leg, begging me not to go. And through her tears, she said something that broke me. She said, "You're not my daddy. You're Muhammad Ali." I froze, because out of the mouth of a 5-year-old came a truth I'd been avoiding. I wasn't her daddy. I was a boxer, a celebrity, a champion. But to her, I was a stranger who showed up sometimes and left again. I left anyway that day. I had to. But her words stayed with me in that camp. They haunted me in the ring. They followed me everywhere. When I was hitting the speed bag, I heard her voice. When I was running in the morning, I saw her face. When I was alone at night, I felt the weight of what she said. I realized something in that camp. I could beat any man in the ring. I could stand up to the government. I could face down a stadium full of people who hated me, but I couldn't face the simple truth that I was failing the people who loved me most. When I came back, I made a decision. I couldn't quit boxing. It was how I provided for my family. But I could change how I showed up. I started calling more. Not just quick calls. Real conversations. I'd ask them about their day, about their dreams, about what made them happy or sad. I started writing letters. Not just "I love you," but real letters telling them what I admired about them, what made them special, what I was learning from watching them grow. I sent gifts, but not expensive things. Pictures of us together. Poems I wrote for them. Recordings of me telling them stories, telling them I loved them, telling them I was thinking about them. And when I was home, not thinking about the next fight, not distracted by phone calls and meetings, present. I'd sit on the floor and play with them. I'd watch their cartoons with them on Saturday mornings. I'd help them with their homework even though I wasn't the best student myself. I'd tuck them in at night and tell them bedtime stories until they fell asleep. Your children will tell you the truth if you listen. They'll tell you when you're not there, when you're distracted, when you're choosing everything else over them. And when they do, don't defend yourself. Don't make excuses. Don't tell them they don't understand. Change, because you're not just a provider, you're not just a worker, you're not just a man with responsibilities. You're somebody's daddy. And that title, that's the one that matters most. That's the title that will echo in eternity. Long after your job is forgotten, long after your money is spent, long after your accomplishments fade, your children will remember how you made them feel. Let me tell you about my daughter Mia. She had a different struggle. She didn't look like me, her complexion was lighter, she favored her mother, and kids are cruel. They told her at school that I wasn't really her father, that she was lying, that she just wanted attention. And it hurt her. She came home crying. Her mother called me, and I could hear the pain in her voice, both Mia's and her mother's. I could hear my daughter in the background, sobbing, asking why kids were so mean, asking why she didn't look more like me, asking if I was really her daddy. So I got on a plane, flew to New Jersey, and the next morning, I picked Mia up and drove her to school myself. But I didn't just drop her off. I walked her to every single class. I sat in the back of each room. I wanted every student, every teacher, every person in that school to see us together. That's my daughter, and I'm her father. Between classes, we walked the hallways holding hands. At lunch, I sat with her and her friends. After school, we drove home, and then we walked up and down every street in her neighborhood, holding hands, me smiling, her glowing. I wanted every neighbor, every kid, every person who ever questioned whether I was her father to see us together. We walked for hours, and as we walked, I told her something I want you to hear too. I said, "Baby, you are mine. You came through me. You carry my blood. You carry my name, and I am proud of you. I don't care what you look like. I don't care who you favor. You are my daughter, and I am your father, and nothing in this world can change that." She asked me, "But Daddy, why don't I look like you?" And I said, "Because God made you exactly the way He wanted you. You're beautiful just as you are, and anyone who can't see that doesn't deserve your attention." Why am I telling you this? Because sometimes being a father means going out of your way to make your children feel secure, to make them feel chosen, to make them feel worthy. Not because they're perfect, but because they're yours. If your child ever doubts that they belong to you, that they're loved by you, that they're seen by you, do whatever it takes to show them otherwise. Walk them to school, sit with them, hold their hand in public, let the world see that they are yours and you are proud, because children need that security. They need to know, without any doubt, that they are loved, wanted, and valued by their father. I had 9 children. 9 different personalities, 9 different needs, 9 different ways of receiving love. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't always get it right. There were weeks at a time when I didn't see some of them, even when we were living in the same house, because I was traveling or training for a fight. After my second wife and I separated, our children went to live with their grandparents in Chicago, and I visited them as often as I could. But visits aren't the same as being there. Sometimes I would watch cartoons with them on Saturday mornings. We'd go out for breakfast and spend time just being together. Those are some of my favorite memories. But I also remember the times I had to leave. The times I saw the disappointment in their eyes. The times they asked, "Daddy, when are you coming back?" And I didn't have a good answer. I told my children that I loved them, and that no matter where I was in the world, I would be thinking of them and would always be their daddy. But I think the biggest price my children and I paid for the demanding work I had was the loss of being with them during too many important milestones in their lives. Too many of the ordinary day-to-day times when memories are built and life occurs. I missed first steps. I missed first words. I missed school plays and recitals. I missed bedtimes and wake-ups. I missed the small moments that, when you add them all up, make a childhood. With my third wife, Veronica, I had two daughters, Hannah and Layla. When Veronica told me she wanted a divorce, it was very hard for me. But we remained friends because we both understood that our daughters needed us to be civil, to be kind, to work together. In the beginning, I was afraid that when she remarried, some other man would take my place with the girls. That fear ate at me, that some other man would be there for the bedtime stories I missed. That some other man would be the one they ran to when they were hurt. That some other man would hear daddy from their lips. I visited the girls as often as I could, but of course it wasn't the same as living with them. I can still feel the pain and sense of loss from not being able to wake up in the same house with my children and not being there when they got home from school. I hated being separated from them, but I learned something important through that pain. Being a father isn't just about being under the same roof. It's about being present in their hearts. It's about making every moment count. It's about showing up even when it's inconvenient, even when it's hard, even when you're tired. I also have two daughters from other relationships, Mia and Kalaya. They were very much a part of my life too. I didn't want my children to grow up as strangers or to compete with each other. I wanted them all to know each other, to be friends, to love one another. That was my dream. To have all my children living together in one home, knowing each other, respecting each other, supporting each other. I knew it was important that I acknowledge my love for each of them and be available to them if they needed me. I tried to do this, but I know I didn't always succeed. Later, when I married my current wife Lonnie, she helped make that dream come true. After we moved to Michigan, we would fly all my children to the farm for summers. We called this time Camp Lonnie because she did all the work, organizing activities, and keeping it interesting. This was not an easy task. It took a lot of time and energy, but Lonnie did it because she knew how much it meant to me. We didn't just have my children there. We had my friends' children too, and some of my daughter's friends. And for those weeks, we were all together. All my children in one place, playing together, eating together. Being family. Bringing all my children together, even for brief periods, was the best gift anyone could give me. I watched them laugh together. I watched them argue and make up. I watched them learn about each other and discover that they were more alike than different. And in those moments, I felt like maybe, just maybe, I had gotten something right. Because no matter how I failed in other areas, my children loved each other. They knew they were brothers and sisters. They knew they were family. Now listen to what I'm about to tell you, because this is important. You know what I learned? The world wanted Muhammad Ali. My children wanted their daddy. The world wanted the swagger, the predictions, the knockouts, the showmanship. My children wanted me to help them with their homework, to tuck them in, to ask them about their day, to be there when they woke up and when they went to sleep. I spent years being a champion when all they needed was a father. Here's the truth, and I need you to hear this. You don't have to be great at everything. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be famous. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to show up consistently, with love, with presence, with patience. Your children aren't impressed by your resume. They don't care about your job title. They don't care how much money you make or what car you drive or what house you live in. They're impressed when you notice them, when you remember what they told you last week, when you play with them even though you're tired, when you apologize, when you're wrong. Stop trying to be a superhero. Be a dad. That's the real superpower. I remember thinking I had to be perfect for my children, that I couldn't show weakness or vulnerability or doubt. But that's not what they needed. They needed to see me as a real person, someone who makes mistakes, someone who gets scared, someone who doesn't have all the answers. Because when they saw that, they learned that it's okay to be human, that it's okay to fail, that it's okay to try again. I gave my children a lot of things: gifts, money, opportunities. But what they needed most was my time, my attention, my heart. I learned this the hard way. I'd come back from a trip with toys and clothes and think I was making up for being gone. But they didn't want the toys. They wanted me to play with them. They didn't want money. They wanted me to sit with them. Presence is the greatest present you can give. And presence doesn't mean just being in the room. It means being engaged, putting your phone down, turning off the TV, looking them in the eyes, listening, really listening, not waiting for your turn to talk or give advice, just hearing them. Your children can feel when you're distracted, when your mind is somewhere else, when you're physically there but emotionally gone. And it hurts them more than your absence, because at least when you're gone, they understand why. When you're there but not present, they feel invisible. They feel like they're not important enough to hold your attention. They feel like everything else in your life matters more than they do. Make a commitment today. When you're with your children, be with them. All the way. No distractions. No excuses. Be present. I want to talk to you about something that might be hard to hear. Many of us grew up with fathers who didn't know how to show love, who were hard, distant, angry, absent. And we carry that pain. We carry those wounds. Some of us swore we'd never be like our fathers, but then we find ourselves doing the same things they did, saying the same words they said, creating the same distance they created. But here's what I learned, and this changed everything for me. Your past doesn't have to be your future. You can break the cycle. You can be different. You can be the father you wish you had. It's not easy. You'll have to fight old patterns. You'll have to unlearn what you were taught. You'll have to soften in places where you learned to be hard. You'll have to give affection when you were taught that affection was weakness. You'll have to say, "I love you," when you were taught that real men don't say those things. You'll have to apologize when you were taught that apologizing makes you look weak. But you can do it because you already know what it feels like to need a father and not have one. You already know the pain of emotional distance. You already know what it's like to be unseen, unheard, unloved, so you know exactly what not to do. Use your pain as fuel. Use your wounds as wisdom. Be the father you needed. That's how generational curses end. Not by chance, but by choice. Not by accident, but by intention. You make a decision today that it stops with you, that your children will not carry the same wounds you carried, that they will not feel the same pain you felt. And let me tell you, when you break that cycle, when you give your children what you never had, something heals in you too. Every time you hug them, you're healing the child in you who needed a hug. Every time you tell them you're proud of them, you're healing the child in you who needed to hear those words. Every time you show up for them, you're healing the child in you who needed someone to show up. This isn't just about them. It's about you too. It's about becoming whole. It's about breaking free from the chains of the past and stepping into a new future. Faith was everything to me. It gave me courage. It gave me purpose. It gave me strength to stand when the whole world wanted me to fall. When I was stripped of my title and banned from boxing for refusing to go to war, when millions of people turned against me, when I didn't know if I'd ever fight again, faith kept me standing. I put all my faith in God, and in return, He filled me up with courage and strength, and I wanted to pass that faith to my children. I talked to them about God, about prayer, about submission to something greater than ourselves, about living a life of purpose and service. But I learned that children don't just learn faith from words. They learn it from watching you, from seeing how you treat people, from witnessing your kindness, from feeling your forgiveness, from experiencing your patience. If you want your children to believe in a loving God, be loving. If you want them to believe in a forgiving God, forgive them when they make mistakes. Forgive yourself when you make mistakes. If you want them to believe in a God who sees them, see them. Notice the little things, celebrate their victories, comfort them in their losses. Your children's first experience of divinity is through you. You are their first picture of what God is like. If you're harsh and critical and demanding, they'll think God is harsh and critical and demanding. If you're distant and unavailable, they'll think God is distant and unavailable. But if you're loving and present and forgiving, they'll believe in a God who loves them, sees them, and forgives them. That's a heavy responsibility, but it's also a beautiful opportunity. You get to show them the face of God through how you love them. I remember teaching my children to pray. We'd kneel together before bed, and I'd teach them the words, the postures, the intentions. But more than the mechanics of prayer, I wanted them to understand that God was always with them, that they could talk to Him about anything, that He loved them unconditionally, and I tried to model that in how I loved them, not perfectly, but intentionally, because I wanted them to know, deep in their souls, that they were loved, that they mattered, that their lives had meaning and purpose. When my daughter Layla told me she wanted to box, I was scared, terrified. Boxing is dangerous, violent, unpredictable. I'd seen too many fighters get hurt. I'd taken too many punches myself, and she's my baby girl. I wanted to protect her, to keep her safe, to tell her no, choose something else, anything else. But I realized something important. She didn't come through me to become me. She came through me to become herself. Our children don't belong to us. They belong to God. They belong to themselves. They belong to their own destiny. Our job isn't to control them. It's to guide them, to support them, to love them even when they choose paths we don't understand. I told Layla I'd support her. Whatever she decided, I would be there for her. And you know what? She became great. Not because I pushed her, not because I forced her, but because I let her be who she was called to be. I let her breathe. I let her explore. I let her take risks. Let your children breathe. Let them explore. Let them fail. Let them dream. Don't force them into your image. Don't make them carry the weight of your unfulfilled dreams. Don't live through them. Help them discover their own path. Celebrate who they are, not who you wish they were. Because the greatest gift you can give your children is the freedom to be themselves, the permission to pursue their own calling, the confidence to walk their own road. Now, let me talk about something practical. Something you can do today. Every day, create one moment of undivided attention with each child. It doesn't have to be long. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but make it sacred. No phone, no TV, no distractions, just you and them. Ask them, what was the best part of your day? What was hard today? Is there anything you want to talk about? And then just listen. Don't fix, don't lecture, don't try to solve every problem. Just listen. Let them feel seen. Let them feel heard. This daily ritual builds trust. It builds connection. It builds a foundation that will hold even when storms come. Because there will be storms. There will be times when they push you away, times when they're angry at you, times when they make choices you don't agree with. But if you've built that foundation of daily connection, of consistent presence, of unconditional love, they'll come back to you. They'll know you're safe. They'll know you're there. They'll know that no matter what, you love them. And when you mess up, because you will, apologize. Not halfway, not with excuses, fully. Say, I was wrong. I'm sorry. I should have done better. Will you forgive me? Teach your children that strong men admit their mistakes. That humility is strength. That asking for forgiveness doesn't make you weak, it makes you real. I had to apologize to my children more times than I can count. For missing important events, for being distracted, for being impatient, for letting my ego get in the way of our relationship. And every time I apologized, something beautiful happened. The wall between us came down, the tension released, the love flowed again. Because children are so forgiving, they don't hold grudges the way adults do. They just want to know that you see them, that you care, that you're trying. Your willingness to apologize teaches them so much. It teaches them that everyone makes mistakes. It teaches them that relationships are more important than pride. It teaches them that love means saying you're sorry and meaning it. Every single day, tell your children, I love you, I'm proud of you, I'm glad you're mine. Even when they mess up, even when they're difficult, even when you're frustrated. Because children need to hear it over and over until it's embedded in their souls, until they believe it. Without question, I made sure to tell each of my children every time I saw them or talked to them that I loved them, that they were special, that I was proud to be their father, because I never wanted them to doubt it. I never wanted them to wonder if I loved them. Words have power. Your words have the power to build up or tear down, to encourage or discourage, to give life or to wound. Choose your words carefully. Speak life over your children. Speak potential over them. Speak destiny over them. Tell them what you see in them that's good, that's strong, that's beautiful. Because they'll become what you call them. If you call them lazy, they'll be lazy. If you call them smart, they'll be smart. If you call them loved, they'll know they're loved. Once a week, do something with your child that they choose. Not what you want, what they want. Play their game, watch their show, go to their favorite place, enter their world. This shows them that their interests matter, that they matter, that you value what they value. I used to play on the floor with my children, getting down on their level, building blocks, playing with dolls, whatever they wanted to do. And in those moments, I wasn't the heavyweight champion. I wasn't Muhammad Ali. I was just daddy, and that's who they needed me to be. Start recording. Not just videos, but voice memos, letters. Write down your thoughts, your love, your hopes for them, your apologies, your pride. If something happens to you tomorrow, let them have your voice, your words, your heart. Don't wait. Do it now. This is something I did throughout my children's lives, and those recordings are my most treasured possessions, more valuable than any trophy or award, because they captured real moments, real love, real life. Record yourself reading them a story. Record yourself singing to them. Record yourself telling them what you love about them. Record yourself sharing your own childhood stories, your struggles, your victories, your lessons learned. These recordings will become priceless to them. They'll listen to them when they're sad, when they miss you, when they need to hear your voice. And if you're not here anymore, they'll have a piece of you that death can't take away. Pray with your children. Even if prayer doesn't come naturally to you, even if you're still figuring out your own faith, pray with them. Hold their hands. Bow your heads together. Talk to God as a family. This creates a bond that goes beyond this world. It teaches them that you're all on this journey together, that you need God just as much as they do. That faith isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest with God about who you are and what you need. Show physical affection. Hug your children. Kiss them on the forehead. Hold their hand. Put your arm around them. Touch communicates love in ways words can't. Some of you grew up in homes where physical affection wasn't shown. where men were taught that touching was weak or inappropriate. But your children need your touch. They need to feel safe in your arms. They need to know that you're not afraid to show love physically. When my children were small, I'd hold them all the time. I'd kiss their cheeks. I'd rub their heads. I'd tickle them until they laughed so hard they couldn't breathe. As they got older, I made sure to still hug them, to still show that physical affection, because I never wanted them to outgrow feeling loved by their father. Don't let your sons get too old for a hug. Don't let your daughters think you're uncomfortable showing them affection. Let them feel your love through your embrace. Set boundaries with love. Your children need structure. They need to know what's acceptable and what's not. But boundaries without love feel like rejection. Boundaries with love feel like protection. When you have to discipline them, do it from a place of love, not anger. Explain why the boundary exists. Help them understand that rules aren't to control them, but to protect them. And always, always end with reassurance of your love. I love you too much to let you do that. I love you too much to allow that behavior. I love you, and that's why I'm setting this boundary. Model the behavior you want to see. Your children are watching you all the time. They're watching how you treat their mother, how you treat strangers, how you handle stress, how you respond to failure, how you talk about other people, how you spend your money, how you spend your time. You can tell them what to do until you're blue in the face, but they'll do what they see you do. If you want them to be kind, be kind. If you want them to be honest, be honest. If you want them to be generous, be generous. Live the values you're trying to teach them. I taught my children about service, about giving, about caring for people who have less. I took them with me to visit sick children in hospitals, to give food to homeless people on the street, to use their privilege to help others. Because I wanted them to understand that life isn't just about what you get, it's about what you give. Service to others is the rent we pay for our room in heaven, and I wanted my children to live lives of service, of compassion, of love. Protect your children's innocence as long as you can. The world will try to grow them up too fast, to expose them to things they're not ready for, to steal their childhood, be the wall between them and the harshness of the world. Let them be children. Let them play. Let them imagine. Let them believe in magic and wonder and possibility. There's plenty of time for them to learn about the hard things. Give them a childhood worth remembering. Stay connected through struggle. There will be times when your relationship with your children is hard, when they're teenagers and pushing boundaries, when they're making choices you don't agree with, when they're angry and distant and you don't know how to reach them. Don't give up. Keep showing up. Keep saying I love you. Keep being there, even when they push you away, because they need you most when they're pushing hardest. That's when they're testing whether your love is conditional or unconditional. Try to stay on good terms with their mother. I know this is hard, especially if the relationship ended badly, especially if there's hurt and anger and resentment, but your children need you both. They need to be free to love both of their parents without having to take sides. They need to see you treat their mother with respect, even if you're not together. Children must be free to love both of their parents and not have to defend one parent against another. Even though I couldn't live with all my children, I knew it was very important that I acknowledge my love for each of them and be available to them if they needed me. Put down your pride. Put down your ego. Work together for the sake of your children. They didn't ask to be born. They didn't ask for their parents to separate. But they deserve to have both of you in their lives, working together, supporting them, loving them. Don't use your children as weapons against each other. Don't make them choose. Don't speak badly about their mother in front of them. Show them that even when love changes form, respect can remain. Now, as we come to the end of our time together, I want to leave you with this. I stood in front of millions. I fought the greatest fighters in the world. I defied my government. I lit the Olympic flame in front of 3 billion people. But none of that, none of it, compares to the privilege of being called daddy. You have that privilege right now, today. In this moment, Your children are waiting for you. Not the perfect version of you, just you, the real you, the one who tries, the one who shows up, the one who loves them even when he doesn't know how. You can't change the past. You can't get back the time you missed. I can't get back the first steps I missed, the school plays I wasn't there for, the bedtimes I didn't tuck them in for. But you can start today. Right now. This moment. Call them. Hug them. Tell them you love them. Apologize if you need to. Show up. Be present. Break the cycle. Be the father you needed. Because here's the truth. The greatest fight you'll ever be in isn't in a ring. It's not at work. It's not for money or fame or status. The greatest fight is the one to stay present, to stay soft, to stay loving, to stay committed to being the father your children deserve. And you can win that fight, one day at a time, one moment at a time, one choice at a time. I believe in you. You've got the heart of a champion already. Now use it where it matters most. At home, with your children, being their daddy. So here's what I want you to do. If this message resonated with you, hit that subscribe button, because I've got more wisdom to share, more truth, more fire, and I want you to walk this journey with me. If something I said touched your heart, hit the like button. Let me know this mattered. And in the comments, tell me, what's one thing you're going to do differently today as a father? What's one change you're committing to? Let's build each other up. Let's hold each other accountable. Let's be the fathers our children need us to be. Now go. Your children are waiting. Be the father you needed. And may God bless you, your family, and every moment you have left to make it right.